So we've got a difficult decision here. I can either pour myself a glass of water or open this beer.
Beer. Do it.
Why can't you do both?
No, it's got either be a beer episode or a water episode. Here we go.
Oh, he's having the water.
Maybe it's soda water.
It's
That can
whale
fizz.
ale.
Oh, yeah. Is it good?
I was drinking it last night and it just kept fizzing up. Every time I'd take a sip, I then put it down and it would just fizz over the top.
Kind of like if a whale was to spurt.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
So there she blows, whale ale.
Yeah.
I recommend it if you want a sticky floor.
I was drinking.
Oh, there it goes. Oh, all over my face.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
Welcome, friends of all designs, to episode 94 of 8.5-Bit, which I'm sure is going to be the most failure to live up to expectations episode of them all.
Clever.
Yeah. And joining me today is my very disappointing friend, James.
How you going? I'm sorry, I just can't live up to your expectations, man. I try. Look, I try.
You try, but it's not enough. And quite frankly, I'm offended.
Something. Yeah, offended and disappointed.
Yeah.
You wildly surpassed my expectations.
Well, yeah, they're pretty low to start with, right? Hey, what do you prefer? Do you prefer having someone angry at you or someone disappointed at you? Like, what's your preferred kind of, emotional stance someone could have against you?
Which one are they more aroused?
Probably disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, no, angry.
Angry is good, because we could have angry sex.
Angry sex, yeah. Disappointed sex is not as great.
Normally that comes afterwards. Okay. And my failure to meet even the lowest of expectations, friend, Ben.
Okay.
You've shot straight past them, actually. Good job. Well done. Okay, and that will come back when we get to our most trollish topic later in the show.
Oh god, we got so much clickbait this week.
Yeah, I might actually title the episode "Why Does the Xbox Suck?" The Xbone, sorry, yeah. Might be a little too trollish. Stick with us. We won't be that offensive. Or maybe we will. Maybe you can yell at us. That'll be great. But before we get in it, let's talk about some games this week. Before we start, I need to make a little addition to last week. We were talking about Steel Diver Sub Wars on the Nintendo 3DS.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to play that yet, James?
I've done the tutorial.
Okay, and one of the things you may have known in the tutorial, which I wanted to talk about last week and I completely forgot about, is that this is a multiplayer game where you can actually communicate on the 3DS.
Oh, yes!
You can type messages to your friends, except it's completely in Morse code. You actually have to tap out Morse code and learn Morse code to communicate in the game.
It works really well. Like, they give you the little chart of what you have to do, and it has to be really short messages. Like, what's the character limit? Like 8? Or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's pretty tiny, but you have to actually tap it out, and the detection's pretty good.
Yeah, I never had a problem. I had to look it up, but once you learn Morse code, you'd be much faster at it. So they've ninjaed in and are teaching all our children Morse code,
and that thing needs to be dead. I mean,
Morse code really done with.
We've solved that one. We've moved on past Morse code.
Have we?
Actually,
there's
probably some purists out there that would talk about.
I can't really think of a real need for Morse code.
Look, we could be trapped down a mine shaft, and we need to tap something. We might need that.
And they can hear the taps, but not any other noise we make.
No. Or okay, we could be on a submarine, and there could be another submarine, and we're both surfaced, and we have to flash at each other. Because all of our comms are down.
What if we are underwater and we've gone outside of our submarine, and octopuses have gone, or octopi have gone into our submarine and locked the door? We can't get back in, and we have to communicate to the octopi to let us back into the submarine.
Well, then Morse code solves the problem right there.
Exactly. Good thing we learnt it. Okay, next subject of interest. James, what have you been playing this week?
This week I picked up Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. Now this came out a while ago, like years ago. I originally played the first version when it came out. Before it was a Realm Reborn, and it was just a complete mess. The story behind Final Fantasy XIV is basically it came out, it was just broken. And then it was broken enough that they didn't charge anyone for it for like 2 years as they redeveloped the whole thing. I mean, this kind of thing it was entirely server authoritative. So what that means is even if you're going through the menus, it would have to ping the server of what menu to go to next.
I remember all the talk about the lag. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was really bad. So on Steam this week, the sale will be over by the time the show goes out. But it was only $15. So I thought, yeah, you know what, I'll check it out. I've sort of been a bit interested in it, but I didn't really want to pay full price for it. And one of the things which kind of drew me to it was that this is a game that's also come out on PS4 and it has controller support. And so I was thinking, you know what, an MMO, I like MMOs, and the idea of playing one on a couch is kind of appealing for the kind of games they are. So I thought, yeah, I'll pick it up. And so far my impressions have been generally pretty positive. Like it's a very cookie cutter MMO. You're doing all of the things you expect to do in an MMO. There's just a lot of Final Fantasy isms thrown in there. A lot of Final Fantasy presentation. Like everything's very flashy. The menus are all very slick. The controls, like actually using the controller works quite well. Like I've just been playing it. There's things like lock on, so you can strafe around things, and it works. It's worked pretty well so far. I've put maybe about 3 hours into it, so I'm still in MMO terms very early on. But yeah, so far it's been pretty good. The writing's a little funny. Like sometimes it's really clunky, and sort of the presentation's really clunky, and then kind of other times it works pretty well. So one of the things that surprised me is this game actually has swearing in it.
What level of swearing? Like
shite.
Shite.
So yeah, so you say,
you can get away with that on Prime Time.
Yeah, but still, I don't really expect that in a Final Fantasy MMO. It kind of took me offside a bit.
If you drop the E, then it gets a little bit rough.
Then yeah, but like just like the kind of quests I got early on, I'm in like this desert city, and I'm doing things like I have to go collect money as a debt collector and like basically bully this little guy who's pleading for no more beatings. And then like it's like, I don't have the money, but can you take this family heirloom and pawn it for me? Because my mother's dead and she won't care. So I'm like, I'm going to pawn this thing, and then I get there and it's like the things are fake, and like now it's not worth anything. And just like these little, I don't know, like just little kind of small quests which are a little bit more interesting than, I don't know, like your traditional fantasy.
Did you tell the little guy that you checked in your pocket and you found a fistful of beatings for him?
No, but that would have been pretty great, pretty awesome. It also helps the character I'm playing is this really big guy. He's one of kind of the big giant guys. I also when I was playing it, I jumped into first person mode.
Yeah.
And I found that actually felt really good. Like just, I don't know, like a better sense of scale and location, just sort of being in there. So
like into the Oculus Rift.
I was actually thinking about doing that. Yeah, so I actually started playing a little bit more like Skyrim, sort of, just in that first person mode, and yeah, it worked pretty well. I don't know if I'm going to pay another $15 at the end of the month, but so far I've been pretty impressed with it. The combat's been kind of interesting. Like I've been playing this, basically it's the Black Mage, and they've sort of got this thing where they can do fire or ice, and they can kind of swap between the two modes. And it seems to work okay. One of the other niceties in this is your class is tied to your weapon. So if you buy a bow and equip that, you're an archer. So you're not tied to just sort of being that one class. Like you still have to level up.
Do they have any silly classes?
I think probably the silliest they've got is like a bard. And that's not that silly. Yeah, no, it's very kind of like Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy can have some weird things, especially when they had like their job systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the job system.
Yeah.
It's sort of how it works, and you can kind of swap your job. Yeah, presentation's really good. Yeah, the audio, like all the audio is great. All the interface looks great. It's just, under the hood, it's still just a pretty standard MMO. But if you're in the mood for that kind of thing, $15 is.
I am not in the mood for it.
You are never in the mood for it, Paul.
Every once in a while, I try to get in the mood, and it's never worked. Yeah. Ben, what have you been playing?
I had to go with a few things. I played some Loadout.
I know, I even played with you.
Yeah.
We were a team.
I learned a few things from you. You had that crazy health gun, so then I went and got some health bullets. But then I got confused because I'd start the round, and you know how you're all looking at each other. I was shooting this guy lots, and I was like, why isn't this guy dying? And then I found out you had to switch bullets, and, Yeah, it's a really good game, but I'd prefer to play it on controller. So
does it have controller support?
I'm pretty sure it would.
You can probably just plug in a controller and just do that instead.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm having a little bit of trouble.
Oh, technology's getting in the way again.
Yeah,
well, at least you got it down and you got into it, and that's
that's the start.
Big
like
progress.
You're entering the world of PC gaming. So it's a free to play game, and normally you're not that pro free to play. So has it changed your opinion of free to play?
It's definitely it's been a positive, a step in a positive direction, I guess. Yeah, it's not very intrusive at all from what I've found. The monetization in that game. So yeah, I actually felt a bit funny, I have to say, because I'm like, yeah, this is a really good game, and I'll probably never give it any money. And,
I feel the same. It's like the things that they want to charge me for don't necessarily worth it. It's like, well, maybe we'll get a little bit of it just to give them some money, and it gets a bit like that. I mean, I got the same thing with PlanetSide too. Really good game. It's like, but well, will I give you money? I don't know.
The thing that I can see getting me in Loadout is the double XP. Like paying, $3 for getting double XP for a weekend. Because that's, you've only got so much time to play and you get more, more resources to spend on stuff. And a couple of bucks is meh, but you do that enough, then you're supporting them. You're giving them some cash.
Yeah, I might give them $5 or something. Get myself a sexy outfit for Helga.
You're not going to get that cock.
No, that thing's expensive. Plus,
it is
the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I like my voluptuous lady.
She is voluptuous.
She is good. Anything else, Ben?
I did play some Call of Duty. I just want to make a point about this game because it's gone in the opposite direction of Loadout. So you buy the game, which isn't particularly cheap, and also it was actually 50% off on Steam this weekend, but that's a bit of a tangent. And now in your Loadout screen, there's like microtransaction options everywhere. There's these little fluorescent exclamation marks pointing to what you can buy, and I'm just like,
don't you want that wolf as well?
Yeah, you can buy the wolf.
Trying to
a
sell
lot
you the
of
wolf.
people have bought that wolf. I'm actually surprised. And and all the new I'm not sure how much the camouflages are, but it's just the loadout slots that get me. Like you've got 6 and you go down one more and suddenly you're like, do you want to buy this? And I'm like, do you really need to do this to me?
I already bought the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having played a little bit of Loadout now, could you see Call of Duty using that same model? And is that something that you'd like?
Nah. I think go back 2 years and I think they had it right. I don't think they need to throw all these microtransactions. But that said, everyone's buying them, so
that's the thing. It's like Call of Duty, as you're saying, actually pushes microtransactions more than a lot of free-to-play games.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have such a large user base, they're not going to miss all those microtransactions plus $60. $60 to $100 a year as well.
Yeah. Well, then the season pass on top of it as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got.
I like it if they weren't pushed in my face. Anyway, that was just what I was going to say.
Okay, well, I played some things this week. I grabbed myself I just played through the demo of Strata, the recently released, not really remake, it's just a new edition in the Strata series, which is out for pretty much everything: PC, PS4, PS3, Xbox One, all those. It's made by Double Helix. This is their last hurrah now that they've been bought up by Amazon. They got it out. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. It's 2D platforming. It took me maybe 5-10 minutes to get into the movement system because you're very, very agile, but at the same time, you've got to be very direct about how you want to move, I suppose is a way of saying it. It's really, really fun. It's quite difficult. I mean, not so difficult that you're going to be ripping your hair out or anything, but difficult enough that just in playing normal on the demo, I died a couple of times and I had to slow down and stop being so gung-ho about everything because I was being a bit mad. Slice everything up with your sword. You can climb on all the walls and ceilings, jump around. Someone fires at you, you just slide past them and stab them in the back. It's fast. It's really funky. It's nice, clean, bright, colourful designs. Yeah.
So it's really hard. So it's difficult. But how's the kind of the punishment for death? Like where are the checkpoints?
It's checkpoint system. The checkpoint system is probably a little bit further than I want. As in, like if you're going to fight a boss, the checkpoint is not before the boss.
Okay. Yeah.
It'll be a couple of screens before the boss. Now, admittedly, you could be using those screens to boost your health, and quite frankly, most of the average enemies aren't really too dangerous anyway. But it means that you can't just give it another go if you've screwed up on the boss. But although I'm thinking of a mini boss there, the big boss that finishes the demo, I didn't actually die on. I wouldn't be surprised if that one just started at the boss though.
Yeah,
because it was a big multi-stage thing, which was pretty funny. Well, why am I avoiding it? You're on the back of a big dragon. And it's awesome.
Cool. Oh,
it launches shit at you, and you've got to keep climbing up the dragon, almost a bit of Shadow of the Colossus-y, but as a 2D action platformer. Yeah, it's really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And the other demo I played through, which I've been meaning to do for the last couple of weeks, was the Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 demo.
Now this is like the God of War.
Yeah, I don't find them that Gods of War-y, really.
Yeah.
They're halfway. I suppose no, that's not true. They are pretty Gods of War-y. I was playing through the original one on PC recently, and I was quite enjoying it, but it didn't quite land. I got to say the combat, at least at this level, you're starting as Dracula, and I think you're pretty fully powered, so your hits are pretty hard, and you feel very powerful at the beginning of the game. It feels better than the first one. It runs incredibly smoothly. Everything by default was turned up full on my computer. It's running very fast. I don't know what the actual frame rate was, but it felt incredibly smooth. And I don't have a powerhouse. It looked a lot better than the first game. Lots of shaders. Except for me, much like the first game, and why I've never finished the first game, I think it hates my graphics card. It'll start getting like weird artifacts in front of the lights, and they'll get worse and worse the more I play until the game just starts crashing the graphics card and eventually crashes my computer. And did the same thing with the demo for the second one. So I think if I want to play it, I might have to pick it up on a console.
Yeah, but maybe some kind of PlayStation 4?
I don't think they're doing current gen versions of them. I think it's only for 360 and PS3.
Oh, really?
And with that, I don't like my jaggies.
You do hate your jaggies. You hate them a lot.
It does look pretty on my PC, and it did play very well.
Apart from the point in which it exploded.
Yeah, I haven't really followed much of the game, but from what I recall, because I think it takes a big jump forward to like modern times, but you're Dracula.
Okay,
that just seems awesome.
How open is the world?
No idea. The demo is a very, very linear section. I'd imagine it's the first one. I suppose it'll be sort of dungeon based.
Yeah, but not Castlevania. Not Metroidvania, Castlevania.
Yeah, not quite not quite Metroidvania, Castlevania. Just, more linear, more levelly. Yeah. But I'm not quite sure. I haven't played it, so I can't say. But no, really enjoyed it. Some great designs on some of the enemies. You're fighting like this golden angel, and the humans have built like a massive like wooden steampunk mech that's fighting you. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't care how stupid it is. That sounds pretty good. It's great fun. And that's the thing. Castlevania requires a level of ridiculousness. Castlevania has always just been like, you know what? Let's just throw in everything. It doesn't need to make sense.
It's ridiculousness and theatrics.
In fact, that's like the worst part of the Lords of Shadow series, that it's more grounded in some sort of reality, trying to make an excuse for things. Well, you go to Dawn of Sorrow, it's like, there's Frankenstein's monster just here. In fact, there's 3 of them. Why not? Next room, zombies come out of the floor. Sure, it's a wooden floor, but that's fine. They can crawl out of it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, let's talk about some things. Okay, big thing this week. PS4 is finally launched in Japan.
Yeah. We go. That's cool. They're there with no competition. They can just own that market.
Yep, pretty much. It is just funny to think that it only just launched in Japan. Like, we knew it was going to happen. It was going to be a delay, but the PS4 is already just so standard of being like, not everyone has it or anything. Not saying
I don't have one,
but we're used to them existing and being available. It's like, just wait, the place that they're from didn't have them.
Yeah, well, they didn't need to launch in there early because there's no one that's fighting them. They can go, well, let's focus on the one where there's actual competition, and now we can get around to that Japan launch. I'm actually really excited with the PS4 and Sony's kind of attitude towards indie development these days, and getting, and it's hopeful dominance it's going to have in Japan, because I think it could end up being a really good platform to start seeing some good Japanese indie stuff kind of get a place to go. And I think I really want to see more Japanese games.
I saw some very interesting discussion this week. Japanese developers saying that they weren't really interested in crowdfunding, things like Kickstarter and such, partly because they said they don't lack money, they lack time. My response was, "Aren't those the same thing?"
Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, it's like that's why you get the money so you can pay yourself so you have the time.
I was kind of confused by those comments because it's like, I still think time is money. When conversely, the other way around.
Yeah,
it's like you need to get this done faster, and there's too much work for you. You hire another person.
Yeah.
But
I think it's good. It's like given how accessible dev tools are these days, and platforms are getting, I really want to see Japan sort of tap into some of the creativity they had back in kind of the 80s and 90s.
I'd like to see something a bit offbeat, a bit odd coming from Japan. I mean, they're so straight typically.
Yeah, it's.
I was watching a trailer for, I think, Valhalla Nights 4 just before, and it was half of it was just a cooking show with this cute blonde girl and a black man, and they weren't speaking Japanese, even though it was a Japanese community, and they were being dubbed over in Japanese, and he was like getting angry at utensils in the kitchen, and it like made no sense. I had no idea what was going on.
Good old Japan.
Yeah, it's very strange. Okay, so the PS4 is out, which is cool. Okay, some games that we saw some things on this week. We finally got a bit of gameplay from The Order 1886. This is the single-player only third-person shooter coming to the PS4. It's steampunk, Victorian times London. I believe you're fighting werewolves or something like that, but the gameplay didn't have any werewolves. Just had shooting some people. I don't know. I got a feeling guys are going to say a similar thing to me. So, Ben, what did you think?
I thought it was a bit generic, but at the same time, it looked pretty and it seemed to have a little bit of class to it. And it had some pretty cool-looking ancient guns. I don't think they have those.
The quality of the render looks great.
Yeah.
Like, just the game itself's like, it's like, I could have thought this was, like, maybe just, like, pre-rendered fake, but apparently it's all running there. But, man, talk about derivative average-looking gameplay. Oh, look, chest-high walls in small corridors.
You put 2 links in the show notes, Paul. One you labeled as just the gameplay.
Yeah.
And that was the only one that I watched.
Yes.
And there wasn't much gameplay in it.
There's a bit.
It's got a lot of cutscenes as well. That's
what I mean.
One of the things I liked was that about the only interesting thing in there, I thought, was their attitude towards QuickTime events. In the middle of the gameplay, there's a point where it goes into a cutscene, you knock this guy down, you hold him on the floor, and this guy's dropped a knife. And it's a QuickTime event, but instead of just like push the button now, it was almost like a Telltale style QuickTime event where you might actually get to make a decision.
Yeah.
So in this case,
I thought that too.
you could punch the guy, I imagine was one, or if you turn the camera to the right, you could see the knife lying on the ground, which he was trying to grab, and you could do the QuickTime event on that. So that's a bit more cinematic storytime use of that kind of event. That seems more interesting. Other than that,
I thought most of it looked terrible, to be honest. Like it looked really nice.
Yeah.
Presentation, like the universe looked nice. The vast majority of what I watched was cutscene. In the gameplay part of the video, most of it was cutscene. I mean, maybe that was cut down a little bit. Whenever there was action, it was very derivative cover-based shooting. And either the gunplay is terrible, or the person controlling it was terrible. I couldn't quite tell, but it didn't look that fun. I was reading through the YouTube comments, and my favorite one in there was calling it a rise of the PS4. And I thought, yeah, you know what? That's probably the closest thing to like
development for like 4 years, and it just, I mean, okay, maybe there's some more interesting gameplay that comes out of it, but how about you show the interesting bits when you're doing your debut, because we're all judging you on this so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think as just like a gameplay demo, I found it very uninteresting. Because it just, to me, it was a very, very linear, very hand-holdy experience with kind of like punctuation of gameplay that didn't look particularly interesting. And maybe that's different later on, and it was just kind of like a poorly cut video. But
well, as we say, it's like it's about werewolves, and we didn't see werewolves.
Yeah, that seems like the kind of bit that would sell me more.
Yeah.
Because werewolves, you're probably not going to be taking cover to shoot, because those guys don't shoot back. And there could be some more interesting gameplay there. But yeah, it's like there was some guy wearing brown that he shot and didn't shoot the guy wearing blue, and then they got a cool looking gun, and that was kind of it. Yeah,
quite a cool looking gun.
Don't forget the QuickTime event.
And that QuickTime event, well, yeah, that did look kind of cool.
Now, speaking of sort of dark streets and slightly steampunky things, we have a long playthrough demo of Thief now. We've seen a lot. I've sort of been avoiding Thief. I know this isn't the first gameplay we've seen, but this is the first like big substantial playthrough that I've seen. So I think we've all at least had some experience with the Thief series, haven't we?
Some, not a lot. It's actually never really been my thing.
Okay, I quite like Thief. From what I could see of it, at least, I quite like a lot of the changes they've made in the modern Thief. They've done a little bit of the detective mode that we've seen in other games, where you can push a button and things that you can interact with in the environment or points of interest will highlight briefly. I think that just makes readability of these things just a little better. Because let's face it, if it's a real environment, you'd be able to tell what's in the room you can do something with. But you can't do something with everything because it's a video game. It's got limitations. So I think that little cheat makes sense. The only thing that I didn't see in the demo from the original Thief was it didn't seem to have much focus on making noise on the surface you were walking on. You just seem to be able to walk everywhere.
And they've gone just more for light.
Yeah, just like... That was... Maybe it's on an easy mode. Or maybe the guy just playing it was very good at walking on carpeted surfaces. But yeah, that was the only thing that was missing. Other than that, it's got all like the water arrows and the blunt arrows and things like that, which were used for puzzle solving. It had a really cool little dash move, which you could just sort of dash like a couple of meters, and you seem to be able to get past things quite quickly. I enjoyed that. But yeah, I thought it actually did a pretty good job of selling the game to me. Would you be interested in playing this modern Thief?
More so than the previous ones. I'm not a huge fan of stealthy games. Like in Dishonored, I tend to just kind of be actiony, and it's probably not the way I should be playing Thief. I think it's more.
You can stab a bitch up in Thief.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I can get stabby, that could be cool. I think like presentation wise, this game is really good. Like the lighting looks really good. The environments look really good. Just things like the weather and the kind of the flashes of lightning. And also just the motion through the world. Also, this sort of was very impressive. But would I play it? No, probably not actually. But then that's just more. It's not really my thing.
If only if it was another MMO.
Yeah. You give me Thief Online. Oh God, please, no one ever do that.
What's these thieves?
Thieves running around.
I'm waiting for my steel coin purse power to. Just cycle through. What I quite liked was that it retained the pickpocketing, and the guy playing through was very much like, yes, I've got past the guard. Now to go back and pickpocket him. Yes, 2 coins, totally worth it. You be into it, Benny? Because you like Dishonored, didn't you?
Yeah, I like Dishonored, but I think I got my Thief, hunger from Dishonored. Yeah, that's the word, Phil. It looks pretty impressive. It looks like it's done what it needed to do and did it well. I think people will like it if they like Thief.
Okay, so now on to the topic of the day. Why does the X-Bone suck so much?
Well, Ben, you're the X-Bone apologist. Why does it suck so much?
Not really an apologist. I don't know. It's a bit funny, isn't it?
It is a bit odd, actually. I find this all very strange. Okay, so what we're talking about here is the continued trend of Xbox ports, versions of multi-platform games, being quite noticeably inferior to the PS4 port, and which we'll just stay at that, because going to PCs always seems an unfair thing, because a PC can be so many things. We've got, speaking of Thief, Thief will actually on the Xbone won't run 1080p, but it'll run 900p, so it's gone a bit custom there. So that's that's the sort of thing that some of us will know, so maybe a bit more forgivable. More in talk this week though is Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes only runs 720p on the Xbone, and there's a comparison video put out, and it doesn't just look 720p, it looks 720p and then put through a filter of shit.
Yeah, it
actually looks about as good as the 360 version.
Yeah, I don't know what the idea behind this video release. So this was actually like a Konami release video, right, where they did all of the comparisons between kind of previous generation and this generation, and with the, like, say, PS3 to PS4, there is a very noticeable difference.
Yeah, there's a large bump in texture resolution. Yeah. The game resolution, obviously, is much sharper. Effects are cleaner. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they show you the 360 or the Xbox difference, and it's basically negligible. I think the only real difference between these two is the frame rate. Like the Xbox One version runs at 60 frames, and the 360 at 30 frames. But I mean, visuals aside from that, the
360 and Xbone, they're very muddy. Lots of AA on there.
I don't know what's going on. Like
it's strange because the Xbone should be better.
Yeah.
It might just be a matter of priorities here. But when all I expected from this generation, I really don't expect a huge graphical leap. What I expected was last generation's games, basically, but with all the seams removed. Just polished up, everything running with nice AA, so everything's smooth, everything running at 1080p, everything running, 60 frames a second, got a standard. And while that might generally be happening, especially on the PS4, it doesn't seem to be generally happening on the Xbone.
Mm.
And considering this is a new machine, and it's not exactly a cheap machine, it's like, how did this happen? It's just a bit strange. Don't know.
Yeah. I don't believe the architectures between... I mean, this is running off, basically, off-the-shelf
PC
hardware,
cards,
right?
Yeah.
It's not even like there's major architectural differences that would kind of limit, as far as my understanding goes. We're not talking like cell processor versus whatever it is the 360 had. There's the...
Not cell.
they're not cell. They're different, but they're not super different. But we're just having these... Yeah, like these huge technical differences between the games.
Because also reportedly, Watch Dogs and Witcher 3 are also going to have big differences between the two. And the thing is, if you have it and you buy these games, they'll probably look fine for you and everything. It's only, but I kind of think you do deserve a little bit more for the new generation of things that aren't necessarily pushing anything that hard at the moment. So it might be a matter of not understanding the new hardware and not optimizing it. But yeah, I've just been a little bit disappointed with that.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that this gets ironed out in the next year or two, because I don't know, like it really is. It's just not good enough. It's just
it's hard enough to
justify
argue to get a new machine at the moment anyway. And when the new machine has negligible increase in performance to your old machine, that's an even harder argument to make.
And to be honest, after watching that video, I sort of came away from the Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero stuff thinking probably could play that in PS3 and I'd be pretty happy. Just sort of seeing because I don't have a PS4 and just seeing how close it is to kind of the Xbox One version anyway. It looks alright.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's I don't, and I suppose the thing, I don't actually find Ground Zeroes to be a particularly impressive looking game. And I think that just rubs a little bit of salt in all the wounds. Like a game that looks like this and you can't get it up to scratch. It's like, come on, Jesus. But maybe these things can change. Hopefully they get a bit better at it by the time full Metal Gear Solid 5 comes around. That would be good to see. Because we are trolling with the title. We don't think it sucks. But it's just been a little bit disappointing this week, and there's not really good. Other big news this week. Irrational Games has said it's going to close. Ken Levine has decided he's going to leave the company and start a smaller developer, focused on smaller digital titles primarily. And when he leaves, he's going to close the doors behind him. He's taking a lot of the main creatives and other people from the company with him. So it's not just him saying, "You guys, I'm taking my ball and going."
Yeah.
All the main creatives are all leaving with him, it seems. End of an era.
Yeah, it was very unexpected. The
Bioshock license being left with 2K, I believe.
Yeah. So coming off the back of the success of Infinite, to find we're shutting down the studio, really just because they want to move on and do smaller things. I found shutting down the whole studio seemed fairly excessive. Even if he was to go, well, take all the key talent. I mean, surely
then at the same time, it's like that's almost a lot of AAA anyway. If the projects are done, they get rid of everyone that's not essential staff anyway.
I think Ken Levine actually has a bit of a film background, and you'll know this more than I do, Paul. But when making film, it's very kind of like you scale up while making the movie. You make the movie, then everyone's fired.
Well, the production company only exists while making the movie most of the time.
And that's sort of what it feels a little bit like with this. And if that's sort of like an accepted practice in other industries, then I get as long as the people that are employed kind of know that. And it sounds like they're really making a lot of effort to replace everyone that's lost their jobs.
There's two things that's happening. There's 24 companies so far have committed to attending this Irrational Games recruitment day to try and get jobs for the people that are now unemployed. And that's pretty cool. We've got Crytek, BioWare, Insomniac, Sledgehammer, Treyarch. There's 24, so there's a lot. I don't need to list them all. But, a lot of people that are, actively going out there and looking at the talent that's come out. So that's good. And additionally, I mean, as indie gets bigger these days, Fire Hose Games, which I hadn't particularly heard of before, they've just put out an offer to any Irrational devs that want to go indie. They're going to give them free office space.
Oh, that's cool.
That's nice of you, isn't it?
That's nice of them, yeah.
And, it's good. It's good exposure for them as well. As I said, I didn't really know Fire Hose before that, but well, why not? People are sort of jumping on this and making a good little community around it. So I like it. Well, no, I don't like them closing down, but I like people's response to it.
Yeah, and I can understand sort of Ken's desire to go off and work on smaller things. Working on that AAA, especially how easy it is now to make those smaller titles. I'm expecting that he wants to get more to the scope of kind of Double Fine and the kind of things they do, which is, I think creatively a very interesting place.
I think he was focused on narrative-based stories as well, of games as well, which really seems to be a drive of his throughout his career.
Yeah, I think for gamers is probably generally good because we're going to see some more interesting things come out of it. We've had a BioShock game which has been kind of developed by another studio with BioShock 2. And I really like BioShock 2. I think that franchise is perfectly capable of being developed by other people and still being good.
So, where's the Vita game?
Yeah, where is that Vita game? We were promised.
There's been no update to the apparent BioShock Vita game during all of this situation. And I just don't know what's going on with it. This week, James and I did an elevator pitch with the people behind High Jump. That was a Kickstarter we talked about last week, which is sort of a sci-fi roguelike action platformer co-op awesomeness, really. I think it's a really, really cool game. So if you go and check out our YouTube channel, you can find that. Yes, we're back to doing video now. We haven't quite solved our problems, but
we're doing our best.
We're getting back there.
We're fighting Google. The Google Hangouts.
Every day the Google problems just seem to pile up. Every time we go in, they've changed it again, and none of the accounts sync up or anything. It's very annoying. But yeah, that's a really good interview, so you can go check that one out. And I really do urge you, if you're interested in the idea of co-op sort of action platformers, this is a really, really cool one. Plus, you could get this thing, a recruitment key, which basically if you pledge for it, you can just give all your friends a copy of the game. And that's at like $30.
Yeah.
So if you've got more than 3 friends, you're making money. But don't literally sell the keys and make money, because that would be very wrong.
Yeah, it's not really in the spirit of the key, you jerk.
Yeah. Don't be against the spirit of this. It's very generous of them. In fact,
don't ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, it's very cool. Okay, I think it's time for some news attack.
Ooh, who's going to sing in this time?
Well, I wanted to do the other song that you accidentally sung last week, James, but I couldn't remember. So it's Ben's turn to sing this week, and I think you should sing it to the football song, whichever one you can think of.
Football song?
Friday night's a great night for football or something.
Oh yeah, no one will know that outside of the east coast of Australia. Really?
Friday night's a great night for football.
Friday night's a good night for news attack. Is it really?
Yeah, it's a real famous one.
Yeah. Does it happen in America? They have Friday night football in America.
Oh my! They can play football any day of the week.
Well, I thought football was big on Sundays over in America. I thought that
doesn't sound right. Sunday night's a great night for football. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
But you know what Sunday night is a great night for?
What?
News attack.
What?
That's when we release the show, guys.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you dummies.
Do that show thing.
Yeah.
Are you done with? Are you done with your song, Ben? Have you sung yet? That was it.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the song. Oh, Jesus. All right, fine. Hey, Wolfenstein, a new order. If you pre-order that, you're going to get yourself access to the Doom 4 beta. This sort of reminds me a bit of when Crackdown came out, and it's like, hey, buy Crackdown and you get access to the Halo 3 beta. Sure. As far as pre-order things go, these things
it'll sell some copies.
Angry. It'll sell some copies. I want both these games, so maybe I'll get it.
I actually don't really care for either of them.
I don't know. I don't mind. I like the things. I like the Wolves and the Dooms.
Beta access, it just doesn't seem that, I don't know, contractual. It always seems to break down to everyone getting it anyway. No, what I was like, say, oh, you've got beta access and no one else is going to have it. Oh, sweet. And then everyone else gets it anyway. And you're
it's
like,
time-based. It just means you get it earlier. People love getting shit first.
Do they? That's interesting.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, fair enough.
News attack.
Suda 51's game Killer is Dead is coming to PC. So that's
Huzzah!
good.
I didn't pick it up on consoles. I'll probably get it on PC. Speaking of things coming to other consoles, other platforms, Strike Suit Zero, that cool sort of, I like to think of Techno Man or Macross style fighting game in space, is coming to Xbox and PS4. So you can fly your ship around and turn into a mech and shoot everything down on those consoles soon.
Yeah, cool. Dear Esther, did I say that right?
Yes.
Esther? It's kind of a bit awkward to say. It is being ported to Unity. The whole thing is being remade in Unity 3D, which kind of makes sense given this game is largely art heavy, and there's not a hell of a lot of gameplay in it.
What do you do when you've already remade a game? You make it again, because your last release game was kind of disappointing.
Yeah. And this just means it's going to come to more things. So, we'll probably see mobile versions and all that kind of stuff. So, there's some money there. There's no, Unity doesn't support Game Boy. Sorry, man.
Boo. News tech.
Kiefer Sutherland, who was in 24 from memory, and is on the upcoming Metal Gear Solid game, is also in Mortal Kombat in a much smaller role, apparently, which didn't take him as long to record.
Why is
great.
Kiefer suddenly a go-to video game guy?
I don't know. It's kind of weird. He's just sort of become the guy.
Maybe he just doesn't like being in front of camera anymore. You got to get makeup on. There's hot lights. Video game work. You get to sit in an air-conditioned studio.
Yeah. You record it. You go home.
A nice intern brings you coffee. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, Nintendo this week has opened their Girls Club YouTube channel, and it's a whole bunch of cliched, patronizing bullshit for girls. So good being progressive there, Nintendo.
Yeah, good, nice and.
You got some dress-up games with pink in them. Bet the girls would like those.
Yeah. We had an explosion this week on Twitch with Twitch Plays Pokemon. What happened was someone hooked up Pokemon to a Twitch chat channel, and then the community fought over entering commands to actually play the game.
It was hilariously good.
It's pretty fascinating to watch. It's sort of watching these two systems fight against each other, order versus chaos. And they're doing pretty well. They're actually getting through the game. It was so successful that it actually broke a bunch of stuff on Twitch. Twitch has now set up a bunch of new servers to make sure it runs smoothly. This is cool. I'm wondering if we're going to see more of this kind of thing now that we've had this explosion of popularity.
Yeah, it's very cool. Crowdsourcing gameplay.
Yeah,
nice.
The hive mind is playing Pokemon.
News attack.
I've had a blank. Kingdom Come. Oh, what's Kingdom Come? Oh, it's that it's the Kickstarter RPG set in medieval Europe, isn't it? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah,
good job.
With no magic.
Remembering things from their names. It's now they've extended it. They're going to do PS4 and Xbox One versions, which is pretty cool.
Yes, it's been a bit of a runaway success. They originally only wanted £300,000, and now they're at £1.1 million, which was pretty good, especially since that's not all their financing. That's just sort of like seed money for their other investor. Speaking of Kingdom Come, though, they've also got pretty buddy-buddy with Star Citizen. In fact, they're going to be sharing a bunch of tools from Star Citizen, and the games are going to be sharing a bunch of assets and working together.
So what are spaceships in Kingdom Come?
Oh, that's all I can assume, really. What I really want is to be like a teleporter in Star Citizens that malfunctions and sends you to ye olde time.
Oh, that'd be glorious.
Well, maybe it's a holodeck game. You go in and play Kingdom Come.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Monaco, the little indie darling, has sold a total of 500,000 copies. That's pretty good, right?
Nicely done.
That's nicely done. Only 36,000 of them have been on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, it's disappointing how much Xbox Live Arcade has sort of died over the course.
Yeah, it really does just sort of show where Live Arcade is right now.
Yeah, you just think about when it first launched and how well things were selling, your Castle Crashes and such, and now nothing seems to be able to get anywhere. Yeah. Unless you're Minecraft.
Yeah, you're saying something, Ben?
Oh, can't remember, actually.
Good. News attack.
So Rise, the Roman fighting game on the Xbox, it was going to have a challenge editor, and it's now not coming. You should actually check this article out, because everyone who's read this headline thought that Rise and Microsoft actually killed one of the editors, but it's actually It's just such a poorly written headline.
That is the first thing I thought. That so whoever was editing those challenges in Rise is dead. I'm like, how's Ben going to handle this one?
There's no murder on the X-Bone. Murder on the X-Bone.
Also on Rise this week, they cut the price on the digital version. I actually went on my Xbox to check it, and Microsoft, they've got the little old price there. They've put a little strike through it, and under it they've got the new sale price.
What's the sale price?
What's the sale price?
I think it was either $49 or $59. Can't remember that.
You make that a quarter, and I'll be all over that.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever buy Rise.
Okay. Sony apparently is set to reveal their VR solution at GDC this year. Last year it was rumored to be revealed, and they apparently at the 11th hour decided not to show it off. But apparently now these signs are pretty good to see it at GDC. I hope it's good, because if it's bad, it's going to cause a lot of problems.
I hope it's there and I get to play with it.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. Get some first-hand impressions, Oculus versus Sony VR. Because Sony don't have the best track record of getting hardware out there and then supporting it. You just look at the Move and things like that.
They get it out there and then kind of forget about it.
Because if it's their own solution, I don't know. If they were jumped on board the Oculus, it's they can help it. But when it's just we've got our own proprietary thing, that seems a bit dangerous. Yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'd be nice if it was look, we're just going to support the Rift. You can plug it in, and we're going to throw some money at them. That'd be good. But
who knows? Maybe they've got something really nice.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Hopefully we see.
Let's not count our disappointments before they hatch.
How many are you up to? Disappointments?
2.
Yeah, that's all right.
James and Ben.
James, Ben.
Alright, so otherwise this week, I've been spending a bit of time away from my hometown and such, so I had to play a bit of stuff on the road. So I picked myself up Hotline Miami on the Vita. I already had it on the PC, but I never really played it that much. And being on the handheld felt like a good fit. And I'm really looking forward to Hotline Miami 2 now.
Yeah, so...
Hotline Miami is a buggy piece of shit. I love it, and I keep playing it, but the amount of times I'll have an issue, there was one level in particular I recall. You've gone upstairs, and you go through a door, and right next to you is a guy on the toilet. And the amount of times I'd start that level, quickly go through the door, point a shotgun at him, point blank, and fire, and it just hits nothing. Not only does it not hit anything, he doesn't even respond.
Yeah.
I then have to move around a little bit, and maybe I get the gun would go through him, and it's just weird hit detection issues like that, and sometimes glass could be shot through, and sometimes it couldn't, and I was getting very confused. It's if you could just get these consistency things.
Get it working.
Yeah, because when it's going good, it's so satisfying. And then when you're forced to walk back through the level once you've done it, and you just see all the carnage that you've caused, it's you are a horrible person.
Yeah, and just having that super fast restart as well. It's you just the levels are so quick. Just getting that run where you have to do it in one hit.
Yeah.
One swift movement. And it's like the Super Meat Boy style thing, It's incredibly difficult, but the restart's so fast. You get that huge ramp of improvement till you got it down to a fine art, and then you just feel awesome.
I always use the mask that makes doors lethal. Just so I can always kick through the door and then the person will die. Or even sometimes they'll be coming up the door behind me and they'll sort of push it back, and then I'll just shoot the door so it flings back in their face and they die. Lethal Doors is the best mask so far. I have a good fun. Yeah, it's a really satisfying game. It's just fixes a couple of problems, and hopefully that's what Hotline Miami 2 will do.
Yeah,
really good. Okay, time for some crowdsourcing. First up, we've got Heart&Slash.
The Tellywinks game.
The what game?
Tellywinks.
Tellywinks?
It's that Tellywinks game we've always wanted.
Oh, that's right, because you found Tellywinks, didn't you?
Yeah, and then I saw this, and I'm it's Tellywinks. The game.
Your childhood memory was refreshed when you found out what Tellywinks was. And I can see it, yeah, I can see the connection.
Okay, I'll put Tellywinks on the show art this week.
Sweet.
For them.
It's about that time they had a revival.
Good. Okay, so Heart&Slash, obviously a pun on hack and slash. You are a little robot, and you got a heart on your monitor because you love things or whatever. And this is a roguelike action game. But played third person, which is actually kind of unique. It's sort of a brawler, and you don't really have brawlers in roguelikes generally. So this
not too often, yeah.
No, it's kind of a unique little take on it.
Nice art style too.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a bit blocky, but not low detail blocky. Just sort of this uses little voxels everywhere to get it on. Yeah, it looks fun. You get to lots of focus on customizing your little robot and unlocking gear and making your own weapons. I think it looks pretty fun.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about the cosmetic system is it's kind of integrated into the plot because it's you're meant to be conform as a robot, and this is a little robot that wants to not conform, and so part of the drive is to look different, and so that kind of ties into the kind of upgrade part of the game. Oh, that was a nice little touch, fighting to be unique rather than just going, here's a hat. I mean, I like hats, but having a little bit of a reason of why you're wearing hats, I thought was a nice touch. I like that the kind of philosophy towards weapons and items was that they do different stuff. So it's not like it's sort of like a slightly more powerful sword or something. It's like the items will do different things, and
this sword is on fire.
Yeah, and I think those kinds of like macro level decisions I prefer in when I'm swapping out items and getting plus 5% crit or something like that. So I thought there's a lot of nice things. It's also got floating numbers.
Yeah, lots of floating numbers.
Yeah.
I think it's a very attractive little package.
Yeah.
You can grab just the game for $10, which is a nice little price for a title like this. Yeah, it looks nice. They're after 20 grand all up. They're most of the way there. So they'll hit it, but look at those stretch goals and see if you are interested in supporting them further. It looks cool. Okay, and that is Heart&Slash on Kickstarter. Next up, we've got Super Chibi Night. It's so chibi and it's so cute.
And it sounds even cuter when it's spoken by a little girl.
It is. You really liked the background of about what this game is, James. So why don't you tell people?
Yeah. So this is a game where there's a developer. I think he said he's 32, and he's making a game with his daughter. And I think this game has benefited pretty dramatically from this because you can see her inspiration in the art she's given her father has really made this kind of broad spectrum of environments and just crazy things that happen. So it's sort of like an RPG platformer. It's sort of where it sits.
Yeah.
It's just like all the kind of animations are really nice and the art's really nice, and it's really cool seeing like the sketch that his daughter's done, and then seeing kind of the final design. You can sort of see how that her inspirations have gone in there, and she's also voiced the main character, and the main character is this little girl, which actually reminds me a little bit of Fantastic Dizzy, a little bit, just sort of like that kind of little ball thing, and it's pretty cute. And actually having her do the voice, I think works really well. Like if you watch the video, like she says Super Chibi Night, and it's just this cute little voice. It's not like they got some voice actor in. It's actually like a little girl that's saying it, and she does a pretty good job at it. And there's some kind of great character designs in there. Like, did you see the Sad Night?
The Sad
Night. Some of the
it's
like this night he's sitting there cooking like some giant organ, just looking sad. Sad Night is sad. Like the environments, they all look really unique. There's a whole bunch of different mechanics in there, like there's mounts and things like that. It's just I think.
The art style sort of like your Alien Hominid Castle Crashers sort of cartoon style, sort of flash-based animation. But there's so much variety because when I first started watching, I was thinking, it just looks like a typical sort of Newgrounds platformer. But as the footage continues, there's so many different variations to gameplay and mounts from riding giant dogs to mechs and all sorts of things. Really impressive scope here. Lots of imagination, which I suppose we have partly to thank his daughter for here.
Yeah, and the animations were well put together. It's just like it looks like a good project, and the price is $5. Like it's also like really affordable. And for something which is a bit of a bonding exercise with him and his daughter, actually coming out with a good looking game on the other side, it's a good story. Like I think it's a nice project.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So that is Super Chibi Night. And it's also on Kickstarter. Now, finally, we've got a game which you can just go back a episode from January and listen to us talk about it because we already spoke about it. It's Demolitionlander, and it for some reason it was cancelled on January 10th. I don't understand. Never worked out why. Maybe it just wasn't doing well enough. No one was pledging in January. It was literally the only Kickstarter we spoke about that week, and now they've relaunched it. And I believe the text and the page and the pitch is exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
The game still looks cool. It
does.
It's Demolition. It's Lunar Lander, but you can blow shit up.
Yeah. One of the things I don't remember from the first pitch was the personalized screens. I can't remember if that was there.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so it's an interesting idea. The idea is that depending on your pledge level, you will get a personalized loading screen and a personalized badge for when you post to Twitter.
Oh.
And it's actually sort of like we'll have a limited number. So it'll, if you're like of a certain tier of pitch, there might need to be 500 of them, and like on your loading screen there'll be like your picture and like your number, almost like when there's like a limited run of paintings, and there's a unique number on it. That's sort of the kind of thing he's going for, but with software. It's kind of a cool. I hadn't seen that before. It's an interesting value proposition. I don't know if I really want to customize main menu.
I don't know how much I'm going to be into Demolitionlander.
The idea of a customized, like, a special Twitter, things like something a bit more visual. It's a little bit like, sometimes if you pledge to a game, it'll be like, in the forums you get a special badge. Yeah. So people can see you're the guy who got in early, and like I think there's value there. Some people like that. I don't mind those kinds of things.
I think there's definite value there. I mean, you just look at you pledge for something on Kickstarter, it comes out, it's happy, you've supported it, you've got a copy of it, but then once it's out, everyone's got it, and I don't have any problem knowing that. But I know a lot of people, they would like something just a little bit unique, like like they could have Broken Age Kickstarter edition, and the difference is, it says Kickstarter edition on the main screen, and you can click on a bucket that you couldn't click on the normal version.
There's one extra joke.
Yeah, it's like one extra hidden joke. That'd be good. Okay, so time for picks of the week. So we've got a big 3 to choose from. So what are we after, Ben?
I don't really want to give it to anything. Sorry, games.
You got to pick one.
Heart&Slash, I guess. At least.
Okay.
You're a harsh man.
Sorry, games.
I'm going Super Chibi Night.
I'll go Demolitionlander, then all 3 get one. Yeah, good.
Everyone wins. I thought Super Chibi Night, it's a good-looking game with a cute story behind it.
Yeah,
and it's also pretty affordable, so it's like, just generally, it's a bit of a no-brainer, I think.
Yeah, I actually, if I was going to pick 3, Super Chibi Night, I think would probably be my pick. But I do like all these games. It's just Demolitionlander we did talk about previously, and we gave it the pick that week.
It was the only one.
It was the only one, but I still liked it. I still liked it. Okay.
A bit sad Demolitionlander is the first game ever to get 2 picks of the week.
Oh, go Demolitionlander, double pick champion. Okay, time for Ben to tell us a thing or ask us a question or whatever it is this week.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this week's question, what was Nintendo's first console? Because then I get to talk about...
cards. A deck of cards.
Yeah. Yeah, so before it... That's not the answer, but before it got into its console making, it made cards. I actually read up on that, its whole... the whole card making experience, and when they went to America and learned more about the card industry, and then they went into toys, and they went into all sorts of funny things too, like instant rice, like instant noodles, except rice, and just all these food products that just did not work. But after they did all that, when they got into consoles,
I'd assume it'd be the NES.
Nope.
No, because there was a thing before the Famicom, wasn't there? Which is just the NES in Japan.
Yeah. Well before it.
Yeah. Well, I can see here on the Wikipedia, but I won't say.
No, you're cheating. So it goes back to the first generation of consoles, really. It was actually probably the latter stages of the first gen. So the Magnavox Odyssey came out, which we talked about a while ago. Then the that Pong Atari thing, and then the what was it called? The Coleco Telstar thingamajiggy, and then came Nintendo, and they had a series of little consoles. I guess back then, when you released a new game, you pretty much had to release a new console. It almost seems. So they brought out their in 1977. They brought out their color TV game 6, which was quite aptly named, with the 6 referring to it having 6 different variations of a light game tennis type thing, which was pretty much Pong. And then in 1978, they brought out color TV game 15, which had 15 slightly different versions of that game. And then in 1978, they brought out a racing game, which was like a isometric racing game. And then in 1979, they brought out... Sorry?
Eventually working their way up to the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, so they've released a bunch of those. Another one with Block Breaker, and another one with some arcade games. And then a few years later, they turned Jumpman into Mario, and the Nintendo Entertainment System came out. So that 1977 to 1980... when you think about it, they released 4 or 5 different consoles in 4 years. That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty good. I mean, Nintendo has a very interesting history. They've done a bunch of different stuff. I didn't actually know that they'd gotten into like instant rice dishes. I knew they'd been in cards and things, but yeah, they're and I think it kind of fits in with they've been talking about changing their direction a bit with their kind of lifestyle improvement software. And I think, Nintendo in the past has changed. They've changed a lot.
They've changed many times.
So we could be seeing one of those changes now.
Yeah, could do. I just don't know how it'll take off. One of the things, just a complete sidetrack when we were talking about just mentioning Donkey Kong there and Jumpman, and how Donkey Kong sort of got like the bum deal in that. It's like he's got the damn name of the game, but he's not the runaway success. Bloody Jumpman. But anyway, also originally apparently he didn't jump.
What? And they still call him Jumpman?
No, well they wouldn't have called him Jumpman then. Apparently, because you just had to avoid the barrels by going up the ladders and such.
Okay.
Apparently Miyamoto said, it's like, well, what would you do if a barrel came towards you? But the other thing was Donkey Kong. Apparently, Donkey Kong in original Donkey Kong is actually Cranky Kong in the Donkey Kong Country series.
Oh, really? That's where he sits in the canon.
Yeah, there's actually a heritage of canon of who's father and such. I didn't realize anyone had actually bothered to try and think about that. But that's me for just not giving everyone the credit they deserve. Okay, good. I guess that's time for Sounds a Bit Like now, isn't it? Yeah. Talk a little bit while I open the folder. It's there already. Okay. Last week Sounds a Bit Like sounded a bit like this. Ben, what is it?
It's Double Dragon.
I hate you so much.
It is.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Oh.
The cow launching and the whip sound and the fire.
Double Dragon.
It's Earthworm Jim.
It is very Earthworm Jim.
Oh, yeah, of course it is.
It came out in 1994 from Shiny and was pretty much released on everything. Over the years, it's been, came out on, on all the kind of the consoles at the time and eventually ended up on PSN and handhelds and basically pretty much anything. And in Earthworm Jim, you play Jim the Earthworm who wears a super suit, has to go and fight the bad guys to rescue Princess What's-Her-Name. And there's sort of like two things going on. You had to get Princess What's-Her-Name and generally avoid people taking your suit back because understandably Jim has that super suit. I wouldn't want to give it up. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
but I probably hang on to it.
Earthworm Jim, the soil he did call. Earthworm Jim, a super suit did fall. He was just a tiny. Sorry.
Yeah, something like that. I actually didn't realize the original concept wasn't from inside Shiny.
No,
it was actually Doug Tenapple. Tenapple?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he actually approached Shiny with the idea, and they bought the rights and kind of went on to make it. And Tenapple, he was involved with the development. He was sort of one level designer and did the voice work on Jim. Really, really fun little game. The more recent Xbox Live version, we actually played co-op.
We did.
And it was a lot of fun. They kind of like hacked in co-op into Earthworm Jim, and that was awesome. It was really surprisingly awesome because the game is notoriously difficult. It is hard as shit. And when you have other people there to carry you, mainly because I suck and Paul's better at things than I am, we got further.
Some things.
Most things. What's that?
Okay.
Sorry, what?
It's strange praise for some reason. So you're better at most things than I am. Oh, that's good. Okay. Yeah, so I guess this week sounds a bit like this.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons.
I think I know.
Yeah, we'll announce what that one is at the end of next week's show.
I also forgot to mention that Doug Tenapple's a massive homophobe.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know. He did cool worms.
He did. And he did the Neverhood, and he's doing Amakrog, and I supported Amakrog, even though he's a big homophobe.
Yeah.
Because I can look past the artist sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to, you look at the art. Focus on the art. You don't necessarily have to...
He's no Orson Scott Card.
No, no, he's not.
Yeah. If I judged everything by who was involved, I mean, God, I know terrible people in every industry. I couldn't do anything. Did you know the guy that pours your milk into that container? He's a Aryan Brotherhood.
Yeah, I don't care as long as the milk's good.
You would drink that Aryan milk. Let's not get into it.
We're going down a path we probably shouldn't go.
Okay. Now, before we end up, anything else been played this week, James?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly mention a little game I played called Sanctuary RPG. Now, the reason I didn't go into a lot of detail because I haven't really played that much of it, but it's an interesting setup. So it's a purely ASCII-based role-playing game, kind of blended with a JRPG. So it's all ASCII art, but it's sort of not really like like the kind of the Crosses and the Rogues. It's it's sort of more playing into kind of JRPG tropes. It's free and worth checking out. It's got some interesting things. It's surprisingly sexual, which I was sort of like a bit taken back by, because I kind of went into it thinking, oh, this is going to be like something which is really just leveraging like leveraging retro themes, but then they're talking of things being penetrated and caressing giant swords and things.
What's wrong about that?
No, nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with it.
Swords penetrate and require caressing to make sure they don't rust up.
Yeah, that's true. It's it's the combat system is surprisingly deep. It's sort of got this thing where you kind of build up chains, you use ability, and you kind of get like these runs going, but you might have to break it to go heal. The guy's gone to a fair bit of effort to get it in there.
Is it a PC game?
Yeah, it's a PC game. The audio is actually pretty good. Like, even though the art's all lo-fi, and yeah, like the audio is, the music's pretty good and things like that. My main gripe is like, so at the bottom of the screen, there's like a little caret for like a little angly bracket, where you type like kind of console style.
Yeah.
And it makes you hit enter after every key. And most of the time you're just hitting one key to do something. And it sounds like a nitpick, but every command is like, there's one more key than there needs to be.
Okay. Sorry, Sanctuary RPG. This like all ASCII.
Yes.
I didn't understand that from what you said. I was thinking like retro-y, pixely, but it's ASCII.
No, it's ASCII. It's ASCII.
Oh, I've looked it up now.
Yeah.
The most ambitious text-based RPG of 2014.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. It's worth checking out. I actually wanted to talk about it more, but I didn't get much of a chance to play any more of it. But yeah, interesting little game for sure.
Yeah, I should listen to you better next time.
You should.
I was just off on my own, talking to the fairies.
Tuned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talk a lot. And it's not me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
When it's talking a lot and it's me, that's okay.
Yeah, I pay attention to you, man.
Thanks. Ben, anything left with you to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Do you have any football picks?
No, it's just trial week. No one will know the football at the moment.
You can talk about a football.
No,
who's only 2 weeks away from the start of the season?
Who's your team? Who's going to win the ball?
He loves the Broncos.
The Broncos.
Go Broncos.
I got a jersey to wear while I watch.
Yeah, you're gonna wear your jersey while watching the footballs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why are we doing this?
Because I want to listen to Ben.
No, you don't. Oh no, you want to listen to Ben, but do you want to listen to the footballs?
Yeah, sometimes. No, generally.
I suppose we do have one topic which I was going to skip over: Valve and their cheating policy. You could talk about that, Ben. Why don't you tell us about that?
I don't know much about it, sorry.
Okay, that's why not.
Now you brought it up, we have to mention it.
No, we don't really need to do anything else. Basically, it had come up this week that the anti-cheat system, VAC, that Valve's is, that was scanning people's internet records. And people started worrying about your privacy with that. That's a pretty big... they're pulling the DNS records for someone's machine and seeing where they went, and that makes people a bit uncomfortable. In quite a... Well, good for them to come out. A good bit of transparency and honesty. Gabe Newell went onto Reddit and quite highly detailed what the system's actually doing to try and put people's minds at ease. So, for instance, nothing ever actually gets sent back to Valve. It's checking hashes against servers that... Because this is the funny thing with cheating with Steam games. You actually have to subscribe to cheat services. People have to pay. So what they actually check is the DRM on the cheat. Because you better not be pirating that cheat, boy. So when you're running the cheats in-game, they suspect you're cheating, and then they check your DNS records to see if you've been accessing the server that the cheat's DRM software runs on. And if that's when your account gets flagged and you're called a cheater. So
yeah, it sounded like they wanted to disrupt the economics of people providing cheats.
Yes.
That was sort of the thing they're going for. I thought it was an interesting little read because, they mentioned that, yes, we're kind of secretive about it, but that's because we don't want to kind of put all our cards on the table.
Yeah, if you're not secretive about it and you're fighting against people that are trying to break through a system, then it makes it a little bit easier to see things. But, cases like this, you do have to come out, or people don't know what you're doing and they become suspicious, and then you're the new NSA.
Yeah. Valve, they're in cahoots with the NSA.
Did you follow all that, Ben?
Yeah.
Good. Sometimes I wonder if we're talking on an understandable level. I don't think
people would get that.
Good.
I think.
Good. Because I just say DNS and everyone just gets turned on because of my sexy voice. Thanks for listening. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for listening to 8.5-Bit. You can catch us on our website, 8.5bit.com, our Twitter and Facebook, and please share anything you like on that. And if you follow us, you get to see our daily game watch, which is awesome most of the time, except for when it's not. Also, subscribe to us on iTunes, and if you do, please leave us a review, because reviews make it easier for people to find us. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Paul.
And I've been James.
I'm still Ben.
Catch you later, guys.
Thanks, everyone.